Tanjiro Kamado lives in the mountains with his family. He bids farewell and heads to the village. After a quiet day's work, he returns home to find his family murdered. Shock leaves him unable to think. Tanjiro senses they were attacked by someone. With his keen sense of smell, he realizes his sister Nezuko is still alive. He tries to take her to a doctor, but she wakes and attacks him. Tanjiro smells demon on her, suspecting one killed his family. The culprit, Muzan, father of demons, who changes appearance to avoid detection. He does this to avoid being found. Muzan can turn humans into demons by giving them his blood. The more blood given, the stronger the demon becomes. Muzan is the primary target of the Demon Slayer Corps. Nezuko, by fate's twist, is turning into a demon because of him. But Tanjiro refuses to lose his last family member. Surprisingly, Nezuko seems to regain consciousness. As Tanjiro cries, a demon slayer named Tomioka arrives to kill Nezuko. Tanjiro defends her. Tomioka, seeing Nezuko protect her brother despite being a demon, considers them special. He muzzles Nezuko to prevent biting and tells Tanjiro to find Urokodaki. Tanjiro trusts him to find a solution. He puts Nezuko in a basket to keep her safe, as demons vaporize in sunlight. They encounter a demon, but Nezuko's inner power awakens. She smashes its head and the demon evaporates in the sun. Right then, Urokodaki arrives at the scene. Tanjiro explains he's sent by Tomioka and asks Urokodaki to train him as a demon slayer to cure his sister. Urokodaki shows no mercy in his methods. He makes Tanjiro climb a mountain gasping for air with deadly traps that could shatter him like Lego if he falls. Days, weeks and months pass by like this. During training, Tanjiro meets Sabito and Makomo, who aren't people but ghosts. So now there are not just demons but spirits too. Well, these two were Urokodaki's apprentices, but they died during the final test to become demon slayers. That's why Urokodaki's training is so intense. He doesn't want to repeat his past mistake. Sabito and Makomo guide Tanjiro. After rigorous training and splitting a huge rock with his sword, he's ready for his first big demon slayer test, surviving a demon-filled forest. Tanjiro barely passes, killing the demon that slew Sabito and Makomo. Of course, the sky looks beautiful. They're up there watching. After the test, Tanjiro sees that out of 30 candidates, only 4 remain. Let me introduce them. Zenitsu, a guy who falls for every girl he sees. He's a total coward. But when asleep or unconscious, he's a swordmaster. Genya, a tough guy, and brother of a Hashira, also known as a pillar. I'll explain who they are later. Kanao, a silent girl who decides by coin flip. Raised under strict orders as she was meant to be sold as a slave. But a pillar and her sister rescued her, cleaned her up, and made her a demon slayer in their family. There was one more, but he left first. He's a guy wearing a boar mask. The mask belonged to his mom. Well, the boar that raised him. His mother abandoned him in the forest as a child to save him from demon attacks. Tanjiro finally becomes a demon slayer, and with Nezuko, they face powerful demons like one that phases through walls. With Nezuko's demon power and Tanjiro's sword skills, they defeat it. In a city, Tanjiro spots Muzan, recognizing him as the one who turned a person into a demon. Tanjiro chooses to save the man, allowing Muzan to escape. Muzan is shocked, as Tanjiro seems to be a descendant of Yoriichi, the greatest demon slayer in history. Yoriichi was so powerful that even the Demon King himself trembled before him. He was so strong that demons had to wait for him to age. As humans, unlike demons, grow old and can't heal grave battle wounds. Now Muzan will hunt down Tanjiro. Other demons arrive in the city, but these aren't evil. They are Tamayo and Yoshiro. Yoshiro, deeply in love with Tamayo, also earns Tanjiro's anger by calling his sister ugly. They tell Tanjiro that blood from some demon moons might cure Nezuko, turning her human again. If you're wondering who the demon moons are, they're the demons closest to Muzan. Muzan gives them much more of his blood, making them incredibly powerful. They're divided into lower and upper ranks. To give you an idea of their strength, no upper moon has been defeated since Yoriichi's time. Several generations ago, suddenly, 2 demons sent by Muzan arrive at their location. They wreck the place, injuring Tamayo. Yoshiro protects her while Tanjiro and Nezuko face the demons. Nezuko then plays soccer with one demon, defeating her with a kick stronger than Roberto Carlos's. Also, after Tanjiro performs a breathing stance, I forgot to mention that hunters have specific breathing techniques. That's why Urokodaki sent Tanjiro to the mountains to learn breath control. Urokodaki and Tomioka use water breathing, so Tanjiro learns this style too. However, it's Tamayo who wins with her blood demon art, forcing demons to obey her and say Muzan's name, killing them. So Tanjiro's mission becomes collecting blood from demon moons. He meets Zenitsu and they encounter a former lower moon. Inosuke joins to help our hero. The three hunters win together, nearly die together, and become friends, forming a legendary demon hunting trio. By the way, Zenitsu falls for Nezuko at first sight and sees Tanjiro as family.
いずこちゃんねえいずこちゃんねえいずこちゃんいずこちゃんねえいずこちゃんねえいずこちゃんいずこちゃんの好きだけどなねえいずこちゃんねえいずこちゃんねえいずこちゃん
Their next mission is to venture into a forest where a demonic moon is suspected to be hiding, but they're surprised to find several high-level demons there. Apparently they're a family. Zenitsu faces the so-called older brother, who has a spider-like form. Tanjiro encounters the mother, who uses webs to control the local demon slayers' bodies, and Inosuke runs into the father. They suspect the father is the demon moon, but he's just a pawn. The real moon is the sun, who commands this entire demonic spider family. He tortures them if they disobey. The mother, unable to beat Tanjiro, chooses death over hell with the moon. Tanjiro, being noble, decides to give her a peaceful, painless death. He cuts her head so gently that she feels peace even in death. The demon moon then decides to act. On the other hand, Inosuke nearly died at his father's hands, but Tomioka arrived just in time, slaying the demon in an instant. Zenitsu was running away out of fear, and upon seeing the creepy spider-like demon, he fainted. But we know what happens when Zenitsu passes out. The demon can't beat Zenitsu and gets frustrated seeing him use the same technique repeatedly. It turns out that before becoming a demon slayer, Zenitsu had lost everything. But an old man, a former Hashira, took him in as his disciple. Zenitsu saw this old man more as a grandfather than a teacher, and the old man enjoyed being considered his grandpa. Zenitsu didn't want to be a demon slayer since he only knew the first form of thunder breathing. But his grandpa believed in him, teaching that if you're good at just one thing, perfect it. That's why Zenitsu's single technique is more than enough. Zenitsu manages to win, but unfortunately gets infected by the demon's poison. Another demon slayer, my favorite Shinobu, also arrives on the scene. Tanjiro fights the moon demon, whose mere web breaks Tanjiro's sword. He barely dodges being split in half. This demon introduces himself as Rui, the lower moon 5. She attacks Tanjiro and grabs Nezuko, wanting her as a sister. Rui, craving family, made a fake demon clan. Tanjiro fights to save Nezuko. Rui, annoyed, uses his blood art. His threads strengthen. With a broken sword, Tanjiro fears the end. Yet he can't die before saving his sister and avenging his family. Memories surface of his father's ancestral fire god dance, awakening Tanjiro's family power. Tanjiro switches to fire god breathing, gaining an edge on Rui. It's not enough. Nezuko has a vision of her mother urging her to wake up and save her brother. Nezuko wakes up, unleashing her blood technique. With this blood explosion, she and Tanjiro defeat Rui. Tanjiro beheads him, seemingly ending the battle. But Rui lives on, his webs acting as a lifeline. Exhausted, the siblings can't go on. Then Tomioka arrives, silently terrifying Rui. He simply walks up and decapitates him, just like that. Meanwhile, Shinobu rescues those trapped in spiderwebs. We meet Murata, a seemingly average demon slayer who's oddly revered as a god by the community. And honestly, he's got some solid reasons backing him up. Murata, the legend. Rui was beheaded, but before dying he recalls forming a fake family. He never experienced true family love. As he fades, he sees Tanjiro embracing Nezuko, a genuine sibling bond he never had. As a human, Rui was frail and sickly. He met Muzan, who granted him a demon's limitless power. This became a curse. People, even his parents, saw him as a monster and tried to kill him. Rui didn't realize how much losing family would hurt. In his final moments, his parents appear. apologizing and accepting him as family. And so, the lower fifth moon falls. Shinobu swiftly arrives, intent on killing Nezuko. Tomioka defends her, surprising Shinobu. A Hashira protecting a demon? Tomioka remains silent, blocking her attempts. The more he stops her, the more frustrated Shinobu becomes.
富岡さんのこれは
Shinobu's team is treating the infected and rescuing Inosuke and Zenitsu. Tomioka restrains Shinobu, but Nezuko's in danger as Kanao arrives trying to kill her. Nezuko flees in her signature style. To calm things down, even Shinobu wanted to cut Tomioka's face. They get along so well, don't they? A messenger crow warns everyone to return, and that Tanjiro and Nezuko must go to headquarters. Tanjiro and Nezuko are taken to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Tanjiro faces trial before leader Ubuyashiki and the Hashira, Tomioka, water, Shinobu, insect, Rengoku, flame, Usui, sound, Mitsuri, love, Tokito, mist, Himejima, rock, Iguro, serpent, and Sanemi, wind. Tanjiro is here because he's protecting a demon, which goes against the group's principles. Sanemi provokes Nezuko by stabbing her box, wounding her to see if she'll try to drink human blood to heal. Furious, Tanjiro responds with a headbutt to Sanemi. I didn't mention it, but Tanjiro's head is tougher than the rock he split. Seeing Nezuko didn't attack despite being hurt, Sanemi calms down. Ubuyashiki tells the Hashira to accept Tanjiro and Nezuko, citing Urokodaki's vow that he, Tanjiro, and Tomioka will commit seppuku if Nezuko ever harms a human. Tanjiro wins the trial and Shinobu takes him to the butterfly estate where he, Zenitsu, and Inosuke rest. They recover and start training as Kanao's skills far surpass theirs despite graduating together. They train with her and Aoi, who's not a hunter but helps out. There are also 3 little girls there. One night, as Tanjiro's deep in thought, Shinobu quietly approaches him. Tanjiro asks why she fakes her smile as he can smell everything but happiness in her. Shinobu's surprised someone noticed due to her sister Kanai, killed by an upper moon. She became the insect pillar, imitating Kanei's cheerful demeanor to be like her. That's why she always smiles no matter what's happening. Training pays off as Tanjiro finally beats Kanao, motivating Zenitsu and Inosuke to improve their breathing. Blacksmiths bring new katanas but want to kill them for breaking the previous ones. No respect these days. Elsewhere, Muzan, now a woman, is furious about a lower moon's death, fearing an upper moon might be next. Now things get serious. He orders the first lower moon to act, but first gives it more blood to make it stronger. Tanjiro asks Shinobu if she knows about the fire god's breathing, but she's never heard of it. She thinks it's related to flame breathing, so she suggests asking Rengoku, the flame pillar. Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu search for Rengoku on a train where he's stationed. Why is he there? Recently, news spread of a killer who makes victims vanish. The Infinity Train arc begins. Due to the severity, they sent a Hashira Rengoku. After checking tickets, demons appear, which Rengoku easily slays. After ensuring nearly 200 civilians are safe, everyone falls into a deep sleep. This is caused by another demon. The demon Muzan sent the first lower moon, Enmu. This demon mixed his blood with the ticket ink, casting a spell to make people dream of happiness, intending to devour their souls. Zenitsu dreams of being Nezuko's hero. Inosuke of ruling mountains, and Tanjiro, get ready to cry, sees his family alive again. Despite the pleasant dream, Tanjiro knows it's the demon's doing. Tanjiro realizes killing himself in the dream wakes him in reality. He seeks out Enmu to try and kill him. The problem is, he falls asleep again instantly. So he kills himself, wakes up and falls asleep. He repeats this cycle, finally managing to cut off Enmu's head. But Enmu doesn't die. It turns out he's fused with the train. This wakes Inosuke, who recalls Zenitsu's sleeping power. Zenitsu saves Nezuko, who was in trouble trying to wake Tanjiro. She headbutted Tanjiro, but only hurt herself. Big-headed, my buff Kamado. The whole train is the demon. But thanks to Tanjiro's sharp nose, they find its head to defeat it. The train derails. It seems over, but it's just starting, as Enmu wasn't even close to the biggest threat. An upper-ranked demon moon appears for the first time, specifically the third, Akaza. Our hero's injured from fighting Enmu, so Rengoku faces him. Akaza, seeing Rengoku's strength, offers him to join the demons. If he turns, he'd be 1,000 times stronger, but Rengoku refuses. so Akaza has no choice but to kill him. But not if Rengoku kills him first. And so begins an epic battle between a demon moon and a Hashira. They fight so intensely that Tanjiro and Inosuke can't help. They're outclassed. They can't keep up, and joining would make them a liability, even risking death. Rengoku's giving Akaza a real fight, but every wound he inflicts, Akaza instantly heals. Meanwhile, Rengoku's injuries are taking a heavier toll on him. In the end, this battle comes down to endurance. With his back against the wall, Rengoku puts everything into one final attack. A fiery blast strikes Akaza, splitting him, but fails to behead him as Akaza pierces Rengoku's chest. The wound's fatal, but Rengoku refuses to die before finishing Akaza off. On death's door, Rengoku's burning spirit fuels one last effort, holding Akaza until sunrise to make him vanish. Akaza panics, realizing he's trapped as dawn approaches. Tanjiro and Inosuke rush to seize the chance Rengoku gave them to behead Akaza. Seeing no way out, Akaza severs his own arm and flees. Tanjiro hurls his katana at Akaza but fails to behead him. Rengoku is on his last breath. He tells Tanjiro to seek his father to learn more about the Fire God's dance. He asks Tanjiro to bid farewell on his behalf and tell him that thanks to him, he knew how to make his mother proud. Before dying, she told him to use his strength to help others, and he saw in his father a way to do so. In his final words, Rengoku leaves this message. Don't let fear and weakness keep you from your goals. Keep your heart ablaze no matter what. Keep pushing forward and never give up, even when you falter. As he sees his mother's spirit, he asks if he did well if he used his strength rightly. His mother nods yes. Seeing his mother's proud face, Rengoku passes with a smile. Tanjiro and Inosuke burst into tears, and so do I. Rengoku's death was reported to all demon slayers and their families. His death was devastating, but his father suffers most, unable to hide his tears despite his usual strength. After escaping, Akaza met Muzan, now a child adopted by doctors, searching for blue flowers used in medicine. These blue spider lilies are Muzan's obsession, as they could make demons immune to sunlight, their only weakness. With it he'd achieve perfection. Despite Akaza killing a Hashira, Muzan's furious he didn't kill the others, including Tanjiro, and effortlessly crushes Akaza. Tanjiro visits Rengoku's home to learn more about the dance. It turns out this is linked to sun breathing, a style that belonged to Yoriichi. This breathing technique led to the creation of other fighting styles used by demon slayers. Now at the Butterfly Mansion, they continue training and meet Tengen, the sound Hashira, who loves flashy things and has 2 buff mice. Tengen's looking for women for a mission, and tries to take Aoi and the girls against their will. Tanjiro stops him, offering himself and his friends to dress as girls instead. Tengen then takes them to the Red Light District, a place active at night and quiet by day. Perfect for demons. It's suspected an Upper Moon demon lives here, and Tengen's wives were captured. And yes, I say wives because Tengen has 3, Suma, Makio, and Hinatsuru. 3 wives, 6 Ballon d'Or. Not even Cristiano Ronaldo managed that. Tengen had sent them to infiltrate and investigate, but they stopped communicating. So now he sends our protagonists to find out what's happening. And indeed, there was an Upper Moon. Daki, the upper rank 6. She controls sashes that she uses to absorb humans. Zenitsu was absorbed by these and taken underground, where Tengen's wives were also trapped. And Inosuke, who has a very feminine face, blends in perfectly as a waifu. They quickly follow the trail through a tiny tunnel. Uzui, being the boss he is, finds out everything and arrives to save everyone. But Tanjiro encounters the Moon Demon and starts a fight, seemingly about to die due to the huge skill gap. Tanjiro focuses solely on mastering his new breathing technique. This helps him overcome the demon, as she recalls Muzan's memory of facing a similar hunter, Yoriichi, when seeing Tanjiro. The downside is Tanjiro isn't used to this breathing yet. As he runs out of air and faces death, Nezuko arrives in a more mature, powerful form. Despite never eating humans, Nezuko reaches moon-level strength, utterly defeating Daki. The problem is, she loses control. Nezuko starts enjoying hurting others, and nearly devours a human. But Tanjiro wakes up just in time to calm her by singing a song his mother used to sing. This sweet memory soothes Nezuko, and she returns to being our little Nezuko again. To wrap things up, Uzui arrives and swiftly beheads Daki, but she doesn't die. Surprise! Daki throws a tantrum, crying for her big brother Jutaro, also the upper rank 6, to defend her. It's worth noting that Jutaro is much stronger than Daki. To kill them, both their heads must be cut off. Luckily, Zenitsu and Inosuke arrive to help, facing Daki, while Uzui and Tanjiro take on Jutaro. Uzui's wife shows up, throwing poisoned kunai to weaken the demons, but it's not enough. Unless both are killed, beheading won't stop them from regenerating. Tanjiro leaves Uzui to help Inosuke and Zenitsu. They manage to behead Daki. Inosuke runs with her head to prevent regeneration, but Jutaro appears, stabbing Inosuke in the heart. Shocked, Tanjiro looks for Uzui, finding him bleeding on the ground with a severed hand. Things worsen as Jutaro, enraged, destroys everything with his blood technique. Tanjiro's the last one standing. Jutaro mocks him, breaking his fingers, calling him weak, unable to protect his sister. He taunts Tanjiro, asking why not become a demon like him, but Tanjiro firmly refuses. Can you imagine Tanjiro as a demon? That won't happen, right? Nah. Desperate, Tanjiro throws objects at Jutaro, secretly aiming to plant a poison kunai. He succeeds and seizes the chance to behead Jutaro. Zenitsu, now awake, nearly decapitates Daki with lightning speed, but her neck turns into a sash. Jutaro removes the kunai, regaining his blood ability. Inosuke survives. He can actually move his vital organs. He arrives to help Zenitsu and Tanjiro, who was near death. Uzui appears, missing a hand. Zenitsu and Inosuke behead Daki. Tanjiro and Uzui, fueled by adrenaline, ignore their wounds. Tanjiro's hunter mark awakens, empowering him to decapitate Jutaro. But it's not over yet. Jutaro's body self-destructs. The entire area explodes. Luckily, Nezuko wakes up, saves everyone, and uses her blood ability to burn away the poison and partially heal wounds. Inosuke, Zenitsu, Tanjiro, and Uzui survive but are severely injured, and the moons are about to vanish. But first, a flashback reveals Jutaro's painful childhood. He saw his sister as his savior. He protected her with his life. One day she was burned for revenge, devastating Jutaro, who was also stabbed. Near death, they meet Doma, the second upper moon, who turns them into demons. Though Jutaro blames his sister as his weakness, they leave together, remembering their bond. Ubuyashiki, though ill, is glad to hear of the first upper moon defeat in a century, hoping for change. Meanwhile, someone is furious. Muzan summons all the moons, and we meet the fifth, who looks like a genie from a jar with eyes in its mouth and a mouth in its eyes. Gyoko, the fourth moon, is a constantly fearful demon. Hantengu and those we know, the third Akaza and the second Doma, who gets along great with him, huh? They greet each other with a fist bump. We also meet the first upper moon, the strongest of all, who oddly resembles Yorichi. Did Yorichi become a demon? We'll find out soon. Muzan called them because they haven't found the blue flower in years. And now an upper moon has been killed. To calm him, Gyoko claims to have helpful info, so he and Hantengu go to follow up on it. After their intense battle, Uzui returned home with his wives, while Tanjiro and the others went to the Butterfly Inn to recover. Zenitsu was the first to wake up, and he was immediately sent on a mission. Then Inosuke woke up and was also sent on a mission. Lastly, Tanjiro awoke, having been in a coma the longest. He'd been asleep for 2 months, with Kanao caring for him. She was stunned to see him finally awake. Kanao and Tanjiro seemed to connect, especially Kanao, as Tanjiro showed her she could make her own choices, not rely on a coin. Plus, Tanjiro's incredibly kind and noble. He's a real sweetheart. Who wouldn't fall for him? While comatose, Tanjiro dreamed of an ancestor who looked just like him, speaking with Yorichi himself. Weeks later, recovered, Tanjiro was taken to the hidden blacksmith village. Hunters must enter blindfolded and with covered ears and noses to keep its location secret. This is where they forge special swords, their only defense against demons. If attacked, they'd be defenseless. It'd be the end. Tanjiro's going there because his sword broke. His blacksmith, Hotaru, won't make him new ones since he keeps breaking them. So Tanjiro's going to find him in person. He arrives and the mayor says his blacksmith is missing. If he doesn't show up soon, Tanjiro will get a new one. He can stay and wait for now. Meanwhile, he visits the hot springs and finds Genya. I mentioned before that he was Sanemi's brother, but Sanemi never spoke of having one. Actually, there were several siblings. One night, their mother didn't come home, so Sanemi went looking for her, only to find her there. The problem was, she had turned into a demon. She killed most of her children except Genya. Sanemi tried to protect his last living brother, having to kill his own mother. Genya was too young to understand about demons. He thought his brother was a murderer and resented him. They haven't spoken since. Now that Genya's grown up, he understands and wants to become as strong as his brother to face him and apologize. Tanjiro not only met Genya, but also 2 Hashira. One was Mitsuri, the love Hashira, who became a demon slayer to find a husband. Yes, you heard that right. Since childhood, Mitsuri's strength was frowned upon for a lady, causing her to struggle in romance. She tried being more feminine, but felt uncomfortable until becoming a demon slayer. The leader told her not to be ashamed, as she's beautiful just the way she is. Mitsuri found her calling and hoped to meet someone stronger, as she wants to marry such a person. It seems Obanai, the serpent pillar, has his eye on her. Speaking of strength, Tanjiro also wants to become stronger to protect his loved ones. Mitsuri tells him to search the village for a hidden weapon, supposedly the strongest. While searching, he meets Tokito, the mist pillar, who's very serious and cold. He's also looking for the weapon, and apparently a child holds the key. Tokito wants to take it, but Kotetsu, the young blacksmith, refuses. It's his late father's work, a training machine resembling Yoriichi. They had to give it 6 arms to match Yoriichi's movements. Tanjiro tried to stop Tokito from breaking the machine, but got knocked out. When he woke up, Tokito had taken the key and puppet, even breaking an arm. Angry Kotetsu lends Tanjiro the machine, liking him and wanting him strong enough to beat Tokito. Tanjiro trains for days, finally landing one hit. They find a 300-year-old sword inside, in terrible condition. Suddenly, a buff blacksmith appears. It's Hotaru, Tanjiro's smith. He offers to fix the sword, so Tanjiro waits, and that night Tokito comes to see him. He asks why Tanjiro is so kind to others. Tanjiro replies that saving people makes you a better person. This phrase reminds Tokito of his father. At 10, Tokito lost both parents, his mother to illness, his father in a storm while seeking herbs. Only Tokito and his twin remained. His brother believed saving others only brings misfortune. So, being good seemed pointless, contrary to their father's teaching that helping others makes you better. One night, a demon appeared and tore off the twin's arm. Tokito, in despair and rage, lost consciousness. He didn't faint though. Somehow, upon regaining awareness, he saw the demon in pieces on the ground, burning in the sunlight. Somehow he had killed it. Tragically, his brother also died. Days later, a leader's aide came and took him away to treat his wounds. He lost his memory and has since been trying to recover it to discover his true identity. While talking, Tanjiro and Tokito were shocked when a moon demon, Hantengu, suddenly appeared. Hantengu and Gyoko had come to this village knowing it made hunters' swords. Upon confirming this, they began their attack. Tokito beheads Hantengu, but the demon splits in two, growing stronger. They decapitate both, but they double again. Now there are 4. The fight intensifies. Tokito meets Teksu, who's fleeing a demonic fish. Gyoko created these. Tokito seeks a sharp sword, encounters Gyoko, and they fight. Gyoko gains the upper hand, wounding and trapping Tokito in a water jar. Tokito nearly drowns but recalls Tanjiro's words, triggering memories of his past. This awakens Tokito's hunter mark, making him far stronger and turning the tables. Tokito now toys with Gyoko, who's no match even in his true form. After humiliating Gyoko, Tokito finally kills him. Another moon falls. Tokito's out of action, but they rush to give Tanjiro his new sword, which Hotaru's finishing despite the attack. Meanwhile, the fight against the 4th moon is getting tougher. Genya, who arrived with Nezuko and Tanjiro, is hurt. The love pillar appears, slaying Gyoko's fish with a whip-like sword. Tanjiro and Nezuko are healing. Genya, having eaten demon parts, took on a demonic form. He's now super strong and can heal. Together with Nezuko and Tanjiro, they team up. Nezuko's blood ignites Tanjiro's sword, empowering him to behead demons. But it turns out there aren't 4 demons, but 5. The main one's still missing. This means if they don't kill the main demon, the other 4 will keep regenerating. There's no choice but to find the boss. Genya spots him, and yep, that's the big guy. Tanjiro charges in with his flaming sword. He seems to behead him, but then the 4 demons merge into one ultimate demon. This final form has all their powers and even attacks with giant snakes. Mitsuri jumps in to face it while Tanjiro chases the small one. Remembering Zenitsu's advice, he mimics the thunder technique and catches up at lightning speed. Tanjiro's got water and fire breathing and now thunder too. He's a triple threat. Tanjiro's about to strike, but the demon suddenly grows. They tumble down a ravine with Nezuko. Tokito appears, tossing Tanjiro a new sword. With it, he finally beheads the demon. Dawn was breaking, meaning the sun was rising. Nezuko was outside, yet the demon didn't die. The small one hadn't grown, but summoned another demon that hid in his heart. Now it plans to devour the blacksmiths to regenerate. Tanjiro can't save them without leaving Nezuko exposed to the sun, which would vaporize her. Nezuko, understanding the situation, prioritizes others' lives and pushes Tanjiro to go save them. Tanjiro swiftly defeats the Upper Moon 4 and nearly kills Mitsuri, but is stopped in time. Tanjiro saves the day but breaks down, believing Nezuko has died. Surprisingly, she hasn't. Somehow Nezuko became a sun-resistant demon, alerting Muzan, who finally sees what he sought for centuries. Turns out Muzan had a fatal disease as a young man. His doctor offered a potential cure, medicine made from the blue spider lily. Muzan took it, but saw no change. Thinking it failed, he killed the doctor. Only after did he realize his illness was gone. The cure worked, but it had turned him into a demon. Muzan began devouring humans, growing stronger in the process. He became obsessed with this power, but couldn't overcome his greatest weakness, sunlight. So he started searching for the blue flower. The doctor knew its location, but Muzan had already killed him. Due to this, Muzan spent 1,000 years searching for the flower in vain, so he devised a new plan: create demons with his blood, hoping one would find the blue flower or become sun immune, which he could then absorb. Finally, he found that demon, Nezuko. Now he'll go after her. Meanwhile, in the village, Tanjiro leaves as the blacksmiths bid farewell, hailing him as their hero. In an abandoned castle, numerous people have vanished. Demon hunters investigated but found nothing. So they called two Hashira, Sanemi Shinazugawa, Wind Pillar, and Obanai Iguro, Serpent Pillar. With two other hunters, Obanai spots a demon abducting a woman. They give chase. The demon flees into the abandoned palace. Upon entering, the Hashira are shocked to find it teeming with demons. They attack, but Sanemi and Obanai easily fend them off. Without them, the other two demon slayers would have died. Obanai tells them to retreat. They'll advance alone. Sanemi, more blunt, says they're useless and should quit. Harsh man. Now alone, Sanemi charges into battle. Facing a demon horde, he uses his wind-breathing second form. More demons come, but Obanai counters with snake-breathing, fifth form. Sanemi mows down the swarming demons while chasing the woman's captor. Obanai tells Sanemi to focus on rescuing her. He'll stay back to handle the demon hordes. Then, Obanai performs the third form of his serpent-breathing spiral enclosure. Sanemi arrives with the demon who kidnapped the woman. As hordes try to attack, he sweeps them away using the fourth form of wind-breathing, rising dust storm. The demon, realizing it's cornered, throws the woman at them. Obanai catches her, but now both pursue the demon. They chase it and are shocked to enter a bizarre place. The entire area becomes distorted. Countless demons inhabit it, but Sanemi spots their target. A door slams shut just as Sanemi thrusts his sword, oddly striking the floor instead. They seem to have been teleported somehow. Sanemi and Obanai are left bewildered by what just occurred. Meanwhile, Kanao returns from her mission to the butterfly estate and seeks out Shinobu, who recounts the events at the swordsmith village, including how Mitsuri, Tokito, and Tanjiro defeated two upper moons. More importantly, Nezuko became immune to sunlight as a demon, signaling that something major is about to unfold. A great war looms as Muzan will stop at nothing to capture Nezuko and gain her sun immunity. The Demon Slayer Corps plans to act on this, so the Hashira will meet with their leader. She asks Kanao to watch over Nezuko, who now requires protection and constant supervision. Meanwhile, Tanjiro recovers from his injuries and learns from Shinobu's aid that the swordsmiths relocated after the big battle. Fortunately, they found an even more hidden village to avoid future demon attacks. By the way, the assistant's shocked at Tanjiro's appetite. He's eating like Mitsuri, the glutton. But that's nothing compared to his surprise about Tanjiro's sister becoming immune to sunlight. Tanjiro says it shocked him too. They're now studying if Nezuko evolved as a demon or is turning human again. The assistant asks who's doing the research. He assumes it's Shinobu, who studies antidotes, medicines, and demon physiology. But Tanjiro says no, it's actually Tamayo who's studying her. When asked who Tamayo is, Tanjiro hesitates, almost revealing sensitive information. Remember, she's a demon. To change the subject, Tanjiro asks for more food. The pillars gather and the meeting begins. Leader Ubuyashiki should be here, but he's gravely ill. From now on, he won't appear before the pillars anymore. Instead, his wife Amane Ubuyashiki will represent him, thanking the pillars for their hard work. This meeting is to inform you that Muzan will likely become more aggressive. He aims to capture the demon who mastered the sun. This shocked everyone, but there's more. Mitsuri and Tokito awaken marks during the fight in the smith's village. Amane explains these marks were on ancient hunters who nearly killed Muzan, but they've been vanishing since. The pillars were unaware these marks even existed. Amane says these marks were never discussed, as some hunters became obsessed, even self-destructing when unable to awaken them. But now 3 hunters possessed the mark. Tanjiro was the first to manifest it, followed by Mitsuri and Tokito. When asked how it felt, Tanjiro just said, "Whoa, it's like, wow. Your body ignites, your strength surges, and BAM! Yeah, not very comprehensible." Then they asked Mitsuri. She recalled, My body felt lighter, stronger, faster. Wow, my heart raced, muscles pulsed. I was breathless, heart pounding. Well, Mitsuri doesn't explain anything either, just like Tanjiro. So they ask Tokito and he gives a good explanation. He says to awaken the mark, you need to be in a situation that calls for it. For instance, when he nearly died, he saw Kotetsu trying to save him. Seeing Kotetsu in danger and recalling his past triggered an adrenaline rush, awakening the mark. This heated his body and made his heart race. Shinobu notes these symptoms can be life-threatening. Tokito agrees, saying to awaken the mark, you must be on the line between life and death. Crossing it or not determines if you awaken the mark. See, Mitsuri? Was that so hard to explain? And Yamane confirms it. He explains that all who awakened the mark had these symptoms, and once marked, there's no turning back. After the discussion, the meeting concludes. Tomioka tries to leave, but Sanemi stops him, insisting the pillars must discuss their next move. Tomioka retorts, you talk. I'm not like you. Sanemi's upset, thinking Tomioka feels superior, though that's not the case. Sanemi moves to confront Tomioka directly. Mitsuri tries to intervene, but Gyome Himejima, the rock pillar, stops them with a thunderous clap. Mitsuri feels it the most. Tomioka leaves anyway. Meanwhile, Zenitsu returns from his mission to find Nezuko speaking and in daylight. Overjoyed, Zenitsu rushes to Nezuko, proposing marriage and gushing about her beauty in sunlight. Smooth move, Zenitsu, but Nezuko greets him as Inosuke, sending Zenitsu off to confront the boar. Before his mission, Inosuke had helped Nezuko remember his name.
Inosuke! Inosuke! Inosuke!
Tanjiro was still eating when Hotaru, his personal blacksmith, arrived to deliver the sword. Remember, he got this sword by breaking the doll that resembled Yorichi. He guesses it belonged to Yorichi, and Hotaru confirms, saying the ancient blade has a legendary history engraved on it. Hotaru, still sore from the village attack, is upset they took the unfinished sword, forcing him to reforge it after battle wear. He tells Tanjiro to guard it with his life, or else he'll end Tanjiro's. The commotion disturbs Genya, who's been resting nearby. Tanjiro apologizes, assuring him there'll be no more noise so he can rest. Inosuke bursts through the window, dancing excitedly about the tough journey ahead. The pillars agreed that after Nezuko's incident, Muzan might send demons to capture her or come himself. To prepare, Himejima suggests personally training the demon slayers to make them stronger. Each pillar will focus on a specific area, kicking off the pillar training arc. Tanjiro's thrilled about this, but Zenitsu's not, knowing pillar training is worse than hell. Tanjiro argues it's better to train with stronger people to improve yourself. Zenitsu bites his face, angry that Tanjiro's resting while he's out on missions. As Zenitsu storms off, Tanjiro thanks him for helping him replicate the thunder technique. Sure, not as perfect as Zenitsu, but this allowed him to reach the demon and cut off its head. Zenitsu, initially annoyed, breaks into a wide grin at Tanjiro's sincere gratitude. Look, he leaves overjoyed. The training has already begun. Uzui focuses on improving physical endurance. His wives prepare food, but they can barely eat. The girls ask Uzui to be gentler, but he insists it's necessary. He warns other pillars training will be as tough or worse, especially Himejima's inhuman regimen. A crow delivers Tanjiro a message. Tomioka isn't participating in the training. Meanwhile, at the leader's mansion, his wife tends to him. Ubuyashiki, voice weak, thanks Amane for all she does for him and the organization. Amane, overcome with emotion, can't help but burst into tears. Meanwhile, Tamayo was hidden elsewhere when a demon slayer crow surprisingly found her. It explains this was done through human communication and by tracking Yushiro. The crow initially assures her it's not here for anything harmful. It proposes she join the Slayers, knowing she studies demon physiology like Shinobu. It suggests they research together to find an easier way to defeat Muzan. Tamayo is taken aback. She's unsure if it's a trap as they're asking a demon to join them at Slayer HQ. The crow leaves a message for her to join Shinobu in studying Nezuko's sudden change. Yoshiro rushes in to protect Tamayo but finds everything is fine. Yoshiro suggests moving, but Tamayo reveals she's joining the demon slayers. Meanwhile, Tanjiro reads a letter from Ubuyashiki. It asks Tanjiro to speak with Tomioka. Ubuyashiki can't do it himself due to his condition. Ubuyashiki, gravely ill, wants Tanjiro to convince the lonely Tomioka to rejoin training. He asks Tanjiro to persuade Tomioka to return to the group. Tanjiro decides to take on this task. He's still recovering though. AOI asks where Tanjiro is going since he can't attend pillar training yet. Tanjiro says he's visiting someone and asks Aoi how to help someone who wants to be alone and how to convey they're not. Aoi admits she's unsure how to help but guesses Tanjiro wants to cheer up the person he's visiting. So Aoi gives him some onigiri, saying while she doesn't know how to help, she knows food can fill any void including an empty stomach. Tanjiro thanks her and goes to see Tomioka. Tanjiro stands outside Tomioka's inn, calling and yelling for him to come out, but Tomioka ignores him. He keeps shouting and Tomioka keeps ignoring until Tanjiro says he's coming in. Tomioka doubts he'd enter without permission. Did he hear wrong? He didn't say he's coming in, surely he said he's leaving. He thought so, but... Tanjiro asks why he's not training with the other Hashira. Tanjiro wants Tomioka to train him, but Tomioka scolds him for not becoming the water Hashira yet. Both were Urokodaki students and Tanjiro should take over as the new water Hashira. However, Tanjiro still has much to learn. Tomioka urges him to do so quickly as there's currently no water Hashira. Tanjiro is confused. He thinks Tomioka is the water Hashira, but Tomioka says he won't be anymore. This surprises Tanjiro. Tomioka tells him to leave, but Tanjiro stays, wanting answers. He waits outside. The next day, Tanjiro follows Tomioka everywhere, even to the bath. Tomioka thinks this could go on forever, so he decides to answer. Tanjiro senses hatred and pain in him and wants to know why. Tomioka then shares his past about losing someone Tanjiro knows, Sabito. Tomioka and Sabito, both Urokodaki's orphaned apprentices, were the same age. Despite their tragic pasts, they formed a close friendship. They were happy until the final Demon Hunter selection exam came. Sabito dominated the test. His swordplay wiped out most demons, while Tomioka couldn't defeat any and got hurt. Sabito protected him and others, then rushed to save those the demon had captured. Tomioka passed out from his wound and woke to the news that Sabito had died. Surprisingly, he passed the test just by surviving while in a coma. Being sheltered, he made it through to the end. In other words, Tomioka passed. Tomioka became a demon slayer without killing any demons, while Sabito died saving others. This made Tomioka hate himself, feeling guilty and wishing he died instead. Tanjiro in tears understands having met Sabito's spirit. This supernatural encounter showed him Sabito could have been a top-ranking demon slayer today. Tomioka says Sabito was far stronger and would have made a better water pillar. He feels inferior to the other pillars who outshine him in potential. Because of this, he believes he'll never awaken the mark. Sabito might have succeeded where he couldn't. This makes Tomioka want to quit being a pillar. Tanjiro empathizes, having felt similar guilt and wishing he'd died instead of his protector. He felt the same about Rengoku, an admirable, noble, and strong person who died protecting him. Tanjiro blamed himself, thinking he should have died instead of Rengoku. Rengoku, with his potential, might have even killed Muzan. Tanjiro's nowhere near that level. Still, Tanjiro recalls Inosuke's tearful words. Don't hang your head, as Rengoku wouldn't want that. He'd want to see them striving daily to improve and carry on his living legacy. Tanjiro thinks Tomioka has forgotten this. Likely, due to self-hatred and damage, Tomioka pushed himself hard to improve and reach the level of a Hashira. Before Tomioka leaves, Tanjiro asks if Sabito left a legacy. Tomioka touches his cheek, recalling Sabito's slap. Sabito scolded him because Tomioka said he should have died instead of his sister. His sister died protecting him from a demon, and Sabito, angered by his words, hit him. He asked how Tomioka could say that when his sister sacrificed herself to save him. His sister, who was to marry that day, knew what she did when she gave her life for her brother. He should stop belittling her will by saying such things. He must understand that he shouldn't die. It's the best way to honor the person who gave their life for him. That memory numbed Tomioka's face. The weight was so heavy that he even recalled the slap. He wonders why he forgot that crucial talk with Sabito. He subconsciously wanted to forget, as remembering caused more pain. He asks Sabito and his sister Utako to forgive him for being so immature. Tanjiro stands behind frozen, thinking his words made Tomioka worse as he suddenly went still and won't move. To cheer him up, he considers a duel. But as Tomioka's recovering, he can't sword fight, so he'll challenge him to an eating contest instead. Yes, that's the solution to all problems. He tells Tomioka, who was about to thank him for the reality check, but now freezes at the sudden request for an eating duel. But hey, since they're here, he doesn't turn it down. So they go eat ramen together and see who can eat the fastest. Seems AY's advice about food filling voids was taken quite literally. Though yeah, food is pretty much God. If you're feeling down, have a bite to eat. Might not feel better, but as they say, full stomach, happy heart. About training, Tanjiro said each pillar handles a specific area, but didn't mention Shinobu's. And well, Tanjiro doesn't know what Shinobu will do either. Speaking of Shinobu, she's there looking a bit worried too. In fact, she can barely hold back from yelling. She says those who can't control emotions are immature, yet she's about to burst. Kanao arrives, saying she just finished the Wind Pillar's training. She asks if her training's after the Rock Pillar, but Shinobu says she won't be training them. While they're there, he tells Kanao he has something to say. First, Kanao shyly asks if Shinobu can train her. Shinobu blushes. Happy Kanao's learned to express herself. Seeing Kanao's growth, Shinobu decides to reveal the demon who killed her sister. Uzui continues training the demon slayers. They're exhausted, but Uzui keeps pushing them hard. The slayers are in hell with the X sound Hashira. Tanjiro arrives and Uzui's serious face lights up. Tanjiro gets emotional, recalling their survival against the upper six. Uzui lost an eye and hand, forcing his retirement as a Hashira. Well, Tanjiro now joins the training, finally starting his journey in this pillar training event. He must first pass Uzui's training to move on to the next pillar session. Tanjiro seems to have it easy, smiling while others struggle. Look at him. For Tanjiro, this training appears to be just a warm-up. Lunchtime arrives and Tanjiro reunites with Uzui's wives, who are delighted to see him again. They serve him soup, but Uzui won't let those who slack off eat. That's how tough it is. The good news is that hunters on night patrol can rest the next day. These two are excited about their upcoming break. Moreover, demon sightings have decreased. It's said they're now focused on finding Nezuko. Well, fewer demons mean less work for the hunters. That's what you'd think, but it's scary when your buddy vanishes. Looks like an attack, but nah, just a prank. The guy was only trying to give a scare. Ha ha, how hilarious. Don't laugh though, we know how extras joking about monsters end up. A demonic eye appears, seemingly from the new fourth moon. It's not a full demon, just an eye. But watch out for that eye, eh? Training continues. Uzui pairs up and Tanjiro picks the biggest guy. He piggybacks him up to the mountain peak. Despite the effort, Tanjiro's beaming. Everyone's amazed. They say Tanjiro's strength is normal, given his battles with moons. They admit it themselves. Uzui says they rest too much if training's easy. Uzui may seem tough, but his wives tell Tanjiro that he once skipped dinner just to wait for the last hunter to return. Uzui's a softie after all. Uzui asks them not to embarrass him in front of young Tanjiro, who then follows the others. Tanjiro realizes the pillars may seem tough or cold, but they have big hearts, like Tomioka, who during their eating contest saw Tanjiro struggling with noodles. Despite easily finishing many bowls, Tomioka told Tanjiro he'd win if he ate 2 more, letting him join pillar training as promised. Tomioka let Tanjiro win to ease his mind. Remember, Tomioka was about to thank him and offer training, but Tanjiro suddenly challenged him to an eating contest. On the other hand, Sanemi was waiting for Obanai, as he couldn't stop thinking about the strange incident at the abandoned castle. Obanai tells him he feels the same way. Sanemi searched the castle multiple times but found nothing unusual. Sanemi suspects this is related to the sudden lack of demons in the outskirts. He thinks demons are now hunting Nezuko, which could lead to an unprecedented event. Worse, none of the hunters there training will be useful against upper moons, let alone Muzan. Sanemi agrees. Obanai thinks this training's more a distraction. The peace he's felt is unsettling, like the calm before a storm. Sanemi suggests a face-off, Wind Pillar versus Snake Pillar. Obanai's on board. Training continues. Uzui sets up a night test to improve their nocturnal combat skills. Uzui plays the demon, they must avoid his attacks. Uzui swiftly takes them out. Even Tanjiro can't sense him. A hunter admits Uzui's unbeatable, despite being retired. Uzui scowls, thinking of what he'll say when facing an upper-ranked demon. Uzui knocks out several. Tanjiro orders his group to attack together. He charges first and their clash sends others flying. Uzui displays immense strength, even using just one hand. Everyone watches in awe as Tanjiro fights on par with a Hashira. Uzui is surprised and proud of Tanjiro's growth in strength. Motivated hunters attack Uzui together, but still can't defeat him. Uzui lectures them. One repeats they'll never match Uzui or Tanjiro, but they'll give their all to help defeat Muzan, even at the cost of their lives. Uzui and Tanjiro smile, their fighting spirit and dedication evident. Remember these hunters' words, for they'll carry great weight in the future. The players are now more motivated. Tanjiro, having passed the test, moves on to train with the next Hashira. The girls provide food as Tanjiro bids farewell to the encouraging hunters. He then heads to his next training with the missed Hashira Tokito. Tanjiro observes Tokito's harsh treatment of hunters, pointing out their mistakes and warning of death if they don't improve. His serious tone makes it worse. After seeing Tanjiro, Tokito's serious demeanor softens into a smile. Tanjiro seems to have a knack for cheering up the Hashiras. Tanjiro greets Tokito, who invites him to meet his blacksmith Kanamori. Tokito asks Tanjiro to hold a sword edge out. He throws a paper plane at it, which splits in two. The blade's sharpness is incredible. Tokito called Kanamori to ensure the swords are in top condition before each battle. Training continues, with Tokito focusing on sword speed. However, no one can match his pace. As training ends, Tanjiro sees Tokito leave home. They wonder where he's going, maybe for food. But night falls, and suddenly, not 1, 2, or 10, but thousands of eyes appear everywhere. These belong to the new fourth moon, the Baiwa demon, who uses her instrument to observe everything outside with Tokito in her sights. Tokito heads to a secluded spot where Sanemi and Obanai are dueling as part of their training. The duel ends in a draw. Tokito wants to join, noting that while pillar training helps hunters, it's less beneficial for pillars themselves. Sanemi agrees, explaining that he and Obanai train nightly. These pillar duels are the real training. As Tokito wants to join, Obanai suggests facing him. Given Tokito's awakened mark, both he and Sanemi will challenge the mist pillar. The intense session ends, leaving them exhausted. Sanemi's pleased they train hunters by day and pillars by night. It's a great way for all to improve. Obanai asks Tokito about Tanjiro's progress. Once Tanjiro finishes with Tokito, he'll face Obanai and Sanemi, who won't go easy on him. Sanemi seems to hold a bit of a grudge against Tanjiro. Remember, Sanemi took a serious headbutt from him. Sure, Sanemi admits Tanjiro got much stronger, but he'll make it clear he's not on a Hashira's level yet. And so, the days go by. Tanjiro's noticeable improvement surprises Tokito, who smiles, knowing there's nothing more for Tanjiro to do here. Having passed the training, he can move on to the next one. Tanjiro is surprised, having only spent 5 days here, but Tokito knows he's improved enough and tells him with a smile that makes the others think Tokito would let them advance too, since they've been here nearly 3 times as long. But Tokito, as smiley as he was with Tanjiro, turns to the others with a face colder than your ex's heart, telling them they still haven't improved at all. Well, let's not point out the obvious favoritism, eh? To lighten the mood, Tanjiro comes up with his wild ideas again, this time challenging Tokito to a paper airplane contest. Out of the blue, he'd learned about Tokito's hobby from Kanemura, whom he'd asked earlier. Turns out Tokito's really into paper planes and has made tons of them. The contest is simple. If Tanjiro wins, Tokito must be nicer to the hunters. If he loses, no big deal. The hunters pin their hopes on Tanjiro, but he loses. Seems like there's no hope left. But one hunter pipes up saying he wants to try since he's good at throwing paper planes. Another chimes in, boasting he was his village's paper plane champ. Soon everyone's eager to join in. As they all craft their planes, Tokito beams, thrilled to share his favorite hobby with others. So, everyone ready? Together they launch their planes. The sky fills with everyone's planes, showing a peaceful scene. Despite future worries, there's always time to feel good, doing what you love or being with the right people. And so, Tanjiro heads to his next training session with Mitsuri. Tanjiro smells honey and asks Mitsuri if she's keeping bees. She says yes, explaining honey's great with bread, especially with butter or in pancakes. Tanjiro doesn't understand what butter or pancakes are. Don't worry, Tanjiro, you'll find out soon enough. Mitsuri offers Tanjiro some pancakes filled with honey and butter. Tanjiro's never had pancakes before. Not knowing how to eat them, Mitsuri feeds him like a baby. If Obanai saw this, oh boy, he'd lose his mind. Tanjiro says he's never tasted anything so sweet, but what's coming is even sweeter. Mitsuri asks him to don a tutu for training, which looks more like a ballet class than actual training. It's amusing how Tanjiro's always eager and excited while the others are suffering. Then, to the music's rhythm, the hunters begin their training session. Mitsuri focuses on flexibility, making the hunters stretch intensely. Her stretches are so extreme that afterward you can barely walk. After an intense stretching session, Obanai's training begins. He was waiting for Tanjiro, having heard through the grapevine, literally as Mitsuri's crow delivered a letter, that Tanjiro happily enjoyed pancakes with her. Obanai wants to keep Tanjiro away from Mitsuri. Jealousy is clearly in the air. To show how serious he is, Obanai plans a grueling training session. Tanjiro sees Obanai has tied several hunters to wooden posts. Obanai's training involves swinging a wooden sword between the hunters. This improves sword precision as hitting a hunter could cause injury. Tanjiro, fearing this, hesitates before each strike. The downside is Obanai retaliates with his own strikes. Tanjiro must face Obanai through the hunters, who unhelpfully warn Tanjiro not to hit them. Between Obanai's unforgiving blows and the hunters' distracting pleas, Tanjiro can't focus. Tanjiro's baffled by Obanai's lightning-fast, precise strikes. His sword seems to bend and curve towards him unnaturally. The blade's movement mimics a snake's sinuous path. It's no wonder Obanai is known as the Serpent Pillar. The title's not just for the snake he carries. Tanjiro sees why precision matters. A sword stuck in a tree could be fatal. Tanjiro focuses, imagining obstacles, and lands a glancing blow, passing the test. Obanai still hates him, warning him to stay away from Mitsuri. Tanjiro heads to his next training session with Sanemi, the Wind Pillar. On the way, he bumps into Zenitsu, who's crying and begging for help to escape. Zenitsu tries to sneak away from Sanemi, but gets caught. Sanemi gives him two options: return to training or face death. Zenitsu screams for his life, annoying Sanemi, who knocks him out. Sanemi tells Tanjiro to carry Zenitsu back and prepare for tougher training. He doesn't see Tanjiro as a true demon slayer, but Tanjiro doesn't care. He doesn't respect Sanemi either, remembering how he stabbed Nezuko. Tanjiro gets the last word in, much to Sanemi's frustration. Sanemi's training is brutal yet simple. Attack him while he defends and hits you mercilessly. No breaks. You're done when you can't take it and puke from the pain. Look at my Tanjiro, all bruised up from the countless blows he took. As I walked, I overheard Genya talking to Sanemi. Sanemi claims he's brotherless due to their fight. Tanjiro's sibling spats ended in tickles, not insults. Genya tries to apologize, but Sanemi ignores him. Genya explains his efforts to match up, eating demon flesh to compensate for his lack of breathing techniques. Hearing this, Sanemi loses it. If Tanjiro hadn't pushed Genya away, he might have lost an eye. Sanemi's house crumbles and Zenitsu freaks out, saying the madman's gone even crazier. Play dead so he doesn't beat us up. Ha! Look at everyone following suit. Tanjiro scolds Sanemi, who's clueless about Genya's role in defeating the fourth moon. It was thanks to his help that they won. Sanemi's not listening. He threatens to put Tanjiro in a coma first, then Genya, if Tanjiro plays hero. Tanjiro stands his ground. Tanjiro yells at Zenitsu to get Genya out of here. Zenitsu's like, don't drag me into this mess, I'll end up getting pummeled. But he obeys, leading Genya away by the hand. Genya then socks Zenitsu for calling his brother crazy. Well, chaos erupted into a full-scale brawl lasting till nightfall. This incident led to Sanemi's training being cancelled and Tanjiro getting scolded. In the end, the brothers couldn't resolve anything. After the commotion, Zenitsu and Tanjiro head to the final test. They see hunters, including Inosuke, in a waterfall nearly passing out. They yell, but scream louder seeing the pillar overseeing the test, surrounded by flames and carrying two massive logs. The rock pillar, Himejima. Himejima's training involves withstanding waterfall pressure, lifting huge logs, and pushing a giant rock 100 meters. Zenitsu faints at the prospect. Worried, Tanjiro asks Himejima for help with Zenitsu. Himejima simply tells him to throw Zenitsu into the river.
Don't get the wrong idea, the river's just freezing cold. It'll wake you up for sure. We see Murata God again, who's also struggling. He tells Zenitsu to hug a rock because they're warm. Quick as lightning, Zenitsu hugs one and feels the warmth, like a mother's embrace. So Zenitsu adopts this rock as his new mom. Tanjiro heads to the waterfall and sees Inosuke, who seems fine but looks like he died standing up. It was a simple image of defeat. It was as if that prodigy had lost his soul. Alright. Tanjiro revives him, but it's tough going. Neither Murata God nor Tanjiro can take it lightly. After the waterfall, they move to the rocks. If overexertion doesn't kill you, hypothermia will. And they still have to move that huge rock. Zenitsu doubts anyone can move it over 100 meters. But he's shocked to see Himejima moving 5 times bigger. So this is for real. They complete the waterfall test, but with difficulties. Zenitsu almost gets swept away by the current. But Tanjiro manages to save him. Next is the log test. They pass it. Lastly, moving Zenitsu's mommy. Move this rock 100 meters. This seems impossible. Meanwhile, demonic eyes keep watching. The new fourth moon, Nakim, has been searching for Nezuko. She's found 60% of hunters, but no trace of the sun-resistant demon. Muzan doesn't reproach her. He's impressed by Nakim's quick evolution as a moon. He asks her to keep searching. He's confident they'll find Nezuko and Ugishiki. Tanjiro cooks for his friends, who are amazed by his seasoning. It's like a mother's touch, so they see Tanjiro as their mom. Eating together reminds Tanjiro of meals with his family. Tanjiro keeps trying, but can't budge the rock. Genya arrives, thanks him for the brother issue help, and shares a trick Himejima didn't teach to move the rock. The trick? Repeat while invoking anger and pain from memories. This raises heart rate and body temperature. Tanjiro moves the rock slightly, but night falls. The hungry hunters ask Mom Tanjiro to cook something for them. Tanjiro starts cooking, and Genya arrives to help out. Genya's attitude towards Tanjiro has shifted from grumpy to kind. Remember how he was before?
Ten, prueba esta galletita. Está rica.
Junior asks Tanjiro if he's awakened the mark again, saying it might help move the rock. Tanjiro admits he hasn't since the last fight, amazed at Himejima's strength without it. It's no wonder Himejima's called the strongest among the Hashira. In a final pre-dawn attempt, Tanjiro focuses on his reps, driven by family memories and Rengoku's words. Set your heart ablaze. Tanjiro gives it his all. He manages to budge the rock slightly. Zenitsu and Inosuke arrive, watching in awe as Tanjiro channels memories into strength. Inner flames course through his body and he succeeds. Tanjiro completes Himejima's training. Seeing Tanjiro complete the test, Inosuke gets motivated and starts moving too. Zenitsu stands there shocked as his messenger bird Pyotaro arrives with a letter. Tanjiro finished the test, but overexertion and lack of water leave him near death from dehydration. He even hallucinates his friends in the sky begging someone to give him water. Then Himejima arrives, bringing water and pouring extra just to be safe. Himejima praises Tanjiro for passing the test, but says he's truly proud that Tanjiro's an exemplary swordsman. He learned Tanjiro prioritized saving the blacksmiths over his sister at the end of the Moon Guard battle. Tanjiro explains that it was actually Nezuko's decision. He was still unsure, so he apologizes and asks Himejima to reconsider, as he doesn't feel like the model swordsman Himejima describes. Himejima stands firm in his opinion. In fact, he's now more certain than ever. Tanjiro asks why, and Himejima shares his past. He used to care for orphaned children. He put their needs above all else, even his own health. The youngest child, Sayu, noticed this and even gave him her food, as Himejima was very thin from not eating. Himejima thanks her for her concern, but says he always trains and became strong without needing to eat much, so there's nothing to worry about. All was well, until one night, a child disobeyed the rule not to go out after dark. He met a demon and to save himself led it to the orphanage to devour the others instead. He even put out the wisteria incense. Remember, that flower repels demons and the fool removed it. That little... I hope some blonde comes and beheads him. Without the incense, the demon entered, killing 4 children. Himejima tried to protect the rest, but they didn't listen and ran, dying instantly. Himejima figured they fled because they didn't trust a blind man to protect them. Yes, Himejima is blind. Only Sayu obeyed, terrified as she was. Himejima vowed to protect her, even at the cost of his life, facing the demon and containing it through sheer brute force. That day, he discovered his superhuman strength. At dawn, the demon vanished into thin air. Himejima was wounded, but his sacrifice was in vain. When others arrived, a crying Sayu called him a monster who killed everyone. She meant the demon, but her vague words made it sound like she meant Himejima. The others believed this, imprisoning him and sentencing him to death. If leader Ubuyashiki hadn't come for him, Himejima would have been executed. Despite everything, Himejima doesn't blame Sayu. After all, she's just a 4-year-old with little self-control. Still, he had hoped for at least a thank you from the girl.
A simple thanks would have given Himejima some relief then, but you can't expect much from those who only save themselves, lying or fleeing without considering the consequences. Tanjiro's integrity is clear to him. Since arriving at the Pillar Mansion, he's been consistently honest and straightforward. He sees Tanjiro as special, a judgment from one who, lacking sight, developed the ability to sense people's true nature. Himejima supports Tanjiro to help him avoid past mistakes, patting his head as he once did with his daughter. With training complete, Tanjiro moves on to his next challenge, Tomioka's instruction. Before leaving, he dines with Inosuke and Genya. They argue over Genya's unique demon-eating fighting style, but Tanjiro calms them. Tanjiro doesn't criticize Genya, knowing he'd do the same if he couldn't use breathing techniques to fight demons. After all that, Tanjiro looks for Zenitsu, who skipped their meal to focus on training. Zenitsu now knows exactly what he needs to do. We see Zenitsu bleeding. The letter's contents seem to have deeply affected him. Tanjiro heads to Tomioka's training, worried about both Zenitsu and Nezuko. He's been away from her for so long she might be lonely and upset. Tanjiro arrives to find Tomioka sparring with Sanemi. Sanemi is still upset by Tomioka's comment about being different, though Tomioka meant no harm. Tanjiro's amazed by their speed, but even more so that he can now follow their movements. Before, Tanjiro would lose sight of the pillars fighting, feeling outclassed. Now, after training, he can at least track them visually. Their wooden swords break, but Sanemi wants to continue barehanded. Tanjiro intervenes, offering Sanemi rice cakes to lighten the mood. Recalling Sanemi's earlier joke, he suggests they all sit and eat instead of fighting. Sanemi can't stand Tanjiro's kindness and storms off. Tanjiro wakes up after the hit, with Tomioka waiting. He thinks his idea might work. Next time, Tomioka will offer Sanemi rice cakes to make peace. Tomioka's smile at this thought is heartwarming. Night falls. Sanemi's anger fades as he feels watched. Sanemi catches a fourth moon's eye. The hunter's inn is found. Muzan infiltrates after centuries. He seeks Ubuyashiki, who senses the demon's aura despite his blindness. Muzan and Ubuyashiki face each other for the first time. Muzan is shocked by Ubuyashiki's frail condition. Ubuyashiki asks Amane about Muzan's appearance. Amane describes him as a man in his 20s with blood-red eyes and cat-like pupils. Ubuyashiki sensed Muzan would come to kill him personally. Ubuyashiki knows Muzan hates him for interfering, but seeing his condition, Muzan's urge to kill him faded. Ubuyashiki explains his state, saying he survived this long solely due to his will to defeat Muzan. Muzan dismisses this as a dream, stating he came to end everything. Ubuyashiki reveals that he and Muzan share the same lineage. Muzan, born a millennium ago, is distant, but the demon in their lineage caused later Ubuyashiki children to die young. The Ubuyashiki family, facing extinction, sought divine help. A priest told them only killing the demon that cursed them would end their suffering. For generations they sought a solution. The Ubuyashikis married priests to weaken the curse, allowing children to grow, but none lived past 30. Muzan thinks it's absurd to believe he's sick just because of his birth. Having lived over 1,000 years without seeing God or Buddha, Muzan doesn't believe in the divine. Ubuyashiki disagrees and asks Muzan about his dream. What has he sought most in his 1,000-year existence? Oddly, Muzan feels no hatred towards the last Ubuyashiki, despite centuries of conflict. His thoughts are interrupted by a bouncing ball. Ubuyashiki's daughters play, singing a melancholy tune. Muzan expresses his feelings. Oddly, he feels nostalgic and relieved. Only Ubuyashiki, his wife and daughters are in this mansion. No guards are present, despite the Demon King being here. Ubuyashiki says he knows Muzan desires immortality. Muzan agrees, hoping to achieve it through Nezuko's sun resistance. Ubuyashiki smiles, saying true immortality lies in memories of loved ones. People's feelings are eternal and indestructible. For 1,000 years, the hunter's company endured. Many children died, but it persisted, proving feelings are eternal. The eternal hatred for someone who cruelly and unjustly took a loved one's life is unshakable. All those affected by Muzan ended up hating him, and this hatred will never fade. Muzan has only succeeded in poking the bear, awakening a fierce opposition. Those who should have stayed dormant now have their eyes on him, determined not to let him escape. Ubuyashiki clarifies that Muzan killing him won't harm the company. In fact, it'll make them stronger. Unlike Muzan, if he dies, all demons die too. His death means the end of his legacy, proving he's not truly immortal. Muzan, hearing this, is momentarily stunned. The ensuing silence tells Ubuyashiki his words hit home. Muzan, enraged, no longer wants to hear him speak. Ubuyashiki thanks him for listening and accepts whatever comes next. As the alert reaches the company, all pillars rush desperately to aid their leader. This had been discussed before. Sanemi suggested 2 pillars guard the master, but Himejima objected. Ubuyashiki refused, seeing pillars as treasures not for personal security. Ichinobu noted no Ubuyashiki leader ever had guards leading to this. All pillars arrive too late to save their master. A wave of fire engulfs the mansion. Ubuyashiki and Amane embrace, awaiting the flames' work. The entire mansion explodes, shocking the pillars. Muzan is blasted out, severely burned and torn apart. He finally understands what's happening. Amane, cold and serene, awaits death with her family, misjudging Ubuyashiki. He thought he was normal, but no normal person would blow up with their family. True, he expected a trap, but not to this extreme. The blast released poison spikes that slow regeneration. All was planned, but it's not over. He knows more is coming. He senses humans approaching, likely the pillars. But Ubuyashiki's plan can't end with a simple ambush. There must be more. Suddenly, flesh seeds rise, a demon blood art. Thorny branches sprout, immobilizing Muzan. He tries to absorb them, but gets stabbed again. Tamayo appears before him. She pierced his belly with medicine. As he absorbs the branches, he'll take in the cure to turn demons human. Muzan scoffs at such nonsense, taunting Tamayo by reminding her how she killed her family after becoming a demon. Tearfully, Tamayo recalls her life's worst mistake. She berates Muzan for turning her into a demon without warning, as she only sought to cure her fatal illness and see her children grow. Instead, she lost everything, becoming the very thing that destroyed her family. Muzan cruelly reminds her she kept eating humans afterward. Remorseful, Tamayo vows to die with him to atone for her sins. She calls for Himejima, who enters using his stone-breathing technique to decapitate Muzan. Reflecting on the past, Himejima, at 19, met the 14-year-old boss. Despite his age, the boss was incredibly mature, always knowing just what to say. He comforted Himejima, assuring him he wasn't at fault and had only tried to save the children. Ubuyashiki remained this remarkable until his dying day. He also warned Himejima that Muzan would arrive in 5 days based purely on intuition. The Ubuyashiki family had always possessed an uncanny ability to predict future events. This gift allowed them to amass wealth and avoid calamities. He also sensed that merely beheading Muzan wouldn't be enough to kill him. Only sunlight would truly end Muzan. Thus, the battle against him would be a test of endurance until dawn. So he asked Himejima to use him as bait. He asked Himejima because none of the other pillars would agree to it. Ubuyashiki had planned his death to be more than just a passing. If he must go, let it be fighting for the cause of generations. This shows Ubuyashiki's greatness and why the pillars respect him. The pillars arrive at the mansion to see a demon in the flames. Himejima notices all the pillars have gathered. Ubuyashiki's plan worked brilliantly. Himejima shouts that the demon is Muzan Kibutsuji. At last, the pillars face this wretched being. Tanjiro again sees the cause of his misfortune. All pillars perform their breathing techniques together. They launch a coordinated lethal ambush, but a Biwa's sound echoes through the area. Space warps, dropping the pillars into a fortress. Everyone around them falls too. All company members enter this endless fortress. Genya, Inosuke, Kanao. Zenitsu falls. Knowing him, he'd be screaming and crying, but he's dead serious. We know he gets like this when he's asleep, so it seems that way. But no, Zenitsu is wide awake. Tanjiro falls before Muzan, who smugly says they'll be ambushed. Right here and now, he'll send them all to hell. Tanjiro falls again, but shouts that Muzan's the one going to hell. As Muzan retreats, Tanjiro vows they'll defeat him today. I want to highlight something. As you know, each final episode has gossip and rumors from the Taisho era. This time, the rumor was that Mitsuri was Rengoku's successor. She mentions that young Rengoku was very attractive, always trained with great strength and passion, and loved to eat a lot. She recalls sharing a large bowl of rice with him. What made me bring this up is that Rengoku appears. Well, he doesn't actually appear, just his voice. He wishes them the best and counts on them to win this final battle against Muzan. I don't know about you, but Rengoku appearing to encourage our protagonist as he did in life really touched my heart. Well, I just wanted to share that.